Hey, how y'all doing? The other day, I finally decided to watch Pixar's Elemental since I personally never watched it, and bro, did they cook. Now, to me, it's a bit strange how this movie feels like it's so unnoticed because the themes and storytelling throughout this film feels so strong that it feels like it was written by James Gunn or David Goyer. Believe me when I say this, Elemental has to be a top 5 Pixar movie ever. The fact that this film hardly gets any praise pains me so much. I feel like I'm trapped in a genjutsu or something. With that being said, I do know that this movie did not perform as good off release due to the poor marketing and the fact that many people believe that Pixar was running out of ideas. I mean, at first glance, this shit does look like a knockoff Fireboy and Water Girl film adaptation, but with the roles reversed.
People are actually mad about this new movie, even the creators of the original game tweeting out saying that it's familiar yet strange. Basically throwing shade that Pixar ripped off their game, but sort of like playing dumb. But judging by the amount of hate this newly announced Pixar movie is getting, I'm guessing everybody knows what the game is and are pretty upset Pixar's ripping off of it.
It's funny hearing this now because the movie has nothing to do with the game and people were just really jumping the gun and judging the movie without even watching it in the first place. Also, it wasn't everybody thinking this. There were some people truly believing that maybe it was just inspiration, like the video I just played for you guys just now. The guy later goes on to say that, it could have just been inspiration, which it low-key could have, and we will never know. But also, was it just me, or I always thought it was Lava Girl and Water Boy? The Mandela effect is kind of hitting me like crazy right now, so let me know down in the comment section down below if I'm on something or not. Anyways, this wasn't the only reason why the film flopped in the beginning, as you also have to consider the time of when it was released. You see, in 2020, the pandemic hit us harder than a Superman punch, and this was no exception for Pixar, as they were forced to release their films exclusively on Disney+, thus setting the precedent for their fans to watch their movies at home rather than the theater. This was especially apparent when looking at the box office numbers for Turning Red, when it had its theatrical run. On top of this, when Pixar released its first movie post-pandemic exclusively for theaters, it tanked in the box office. To make things worse, during this time, many started to believe Pixar began losing their touch, as Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2, Onward, Lightyear, Turning Red, and Luca seemed to have mixed perception online. It's not like Pixar was terrible, but just lacking in quality a bit. Now, I don't personally believe this, as those movies I named I fairly enjoy, besides Toy Story 4, but that's for another day. Also, it's not like they completely lost themselves. They made hits within the 2020s with Soul and Inside Out 2. Unfortunately, the lacking in quality, poor marketing, and what appeared to be a lazy concept all led to why this film did bad. Despite all this, I'm here to tell you that the fans during this time were all dumb. I'm talking as dumb as Ash using a Metapod to battle against another Metapod. So, with that being said, let me fully explain why this movie deserves more love. But before we get into that, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this. Also, if it wasn't obvious enough, you should definitely watch Elemental before watching this video. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. After you do, come back and see if you agree with a lot of the points I've made in this video. Anyways, let's head on with the first reason. Honestly, I couldn't make a proper video on why this film is underrated without talking about Claude. Even though this light-hearted, lovable rock has a grand total of 90 seconds of screen time, he really steals the show for me every time he's on screen.
Take an act of God to get me across that bridge.
An act of God or an act of Claude?
Like seriously, how can you hate him? He's the perfect mix of comedic and the typical too young for the older girl trope. His whole character is just him rizzing up Ember. He flirts with her in a realistic but funny manner that I don't know how anyone could hate. If you do, you're probably the Joker, cause how could you? Alongside his lovable nature, he is also the reason why this film had a resurgence after plummeting at the box office. See, Pixar knew they needed to market this movie for it to have a Cavs LeBron level comeback, so they decided to use Claude as the center of attention. They basically made memes around him, gave him a poster, and even acted like he was the next big thing as audiences cheered for him as if he was Captain America picking up Thor's hammer.
Yo, yo, yo!
Don't let my dad catch you again.
You don't like my landscaping? Anyway, June Bloom is coming, and you just got to.
Yeah, this was a real marketing campaign. Although this seemed very desperate, it honestly worked. because people were genuinely curious on who the actual fuck is Claude. There's more to it in all honesty, but I'm not trying to get into it for the sake of the video. So I suggest watching Cartoonishy's video on the matter as he delves into it more. Regardless, without Claude, this movie would have had less eyes on it. So Claude, we thank you. You the GOAT. The next reason, and this reason is more of a real reason as to why I love this movie, is the fact that all its themes are perfectly connected to each other. In its core, this film is about following your dreams. Don't be held back by your parents' footsteps. Accept others for who they are. Don't let society determine who you are. Don't judge a book by its cover. And you could always do something if it seems impossible. It may seem like there's a lot of themes and some are more similar than others, but trust me, you could really feel them throughout the story. In fact, you can feel it in the opening scene where Ember's parents are leaving their fire village to go to Element City to start a better life for their child. This is something that seems very realistic as they were forced out their home in hopes of bettering their family. Clearly, this connects to those who come from a similar background and shows us that they are no different from you or me. At the end of the day, we all want to live the best life that we can, and that's exactly what Ember's parents wanted to do for their kid. Anyone would have done the same. So when they go to Element City and they don't get accepted, it truly shows you that that's not how it should be. Following this is the scene with Ember and her dad talking about the legendary blue flame and why they have to preserve it. This to me is perfect because it reflects on their culture/tradition. Ember would even pray to the blue flame asking for what she wants, which makes the ideology behind these scenes even more impactful because later on when Ember wants to follow her own path with Wade, who is a water guy, which throughout the whole movie we're led to believe that they're not supposed to mix, but they can, thus depicting that the blue flame did give her her wish. It just wasn't what she thought it would be. In fact, they even foreshadow her path by showing her love for glass art in the first few minutes of the movie. But what really makes Ember a great character is the fact that you can really put yourself in her shoes throughout the whole film, as her character is built upon parents expecting something from you, but it's not your thing and all you really want to do is make them proud. So you decide to force yourself to do that exact thing. I personally have experience with this, which makes it so touching, not gonna lie. It low-key has me in my feels. I also like that the grandma's wish before she died was for her to marry fire because it reinforces the idea of Ember following her family's footsteps. Although it's sad she can't live up to her grandma's expectations, she is following her heart and pursuing what she wants. It's what's ultimately more important. It's a selfish thing, yeah, but it's honestly what makes us human. The fact that you're trying to make your loved ones proud, but in doing so is lowering your happiness, is what I mean by that. Speaking of human, that's another reason why this movie is so great. And I'm gonna tie it into this part of the video, but it's the fact that everything feels human. The story, the characters, shit, even the setting to a certain extent reflects on our world. There are some very real scenes in this movie that follow the themes I mentioned earlier, so I'm gonna just get into them right now. For starters, it's best to begin with the best line in the entire movie.
Sometimes when I lose my temper, I think it's just me trying to tell me something I'm not ready to hear.
This is the best line within the whole movie because it really speaks to why we do things. This line within itself shows you to never take shit at face value. Stuff is kinda deeper when it needs to be. There's moments where people are going to yell and be mad at you for no reason, and sometimes that's just them really speaking to themselves. I mean, hey, I for one realize that I tend to do the same sometimes. This movie really out here impacting me, bro. Pixar, you really did it again, bro. That's why I love this scene so much, because instead of embracing the anger within, it's best to just take a step back and come to terms with yourself. See why you're doing certain actions that you're doing. Acknowledge that, and then learn to grow. That's what being human is all about. So seeing these two elements, who should in reality be goofy and entertaining, really explore real life problems, is what makes this film so touching. On top of this, they even reinforce this idea by having Ember feel like a failure. Her feeling this way is not because she's failing her father, it's mainly because she's failing herself by not following her own dreams, not following her own path. She's following the footsteps of someone else's path. This is where I want to talk about Wade for a little bit, because in a movie that has some closed-minded characters, Wade being the most open-minded really shines. He really goes above and beyond to discover ways where things that seem impossible could exist. This is apparent when he tried Ember's father's food, because not only it showed how much he cared for her, it also showed that there is a way for water to consume his food. Wade even goes to make a drink using the food, to which he says it's mad good, which just shows you how open-minded he is. Although Ember's dad got mad, he was only mad about it because he just never understood at that moment. He took it as a sign of disrespect when in fact it's the opposite, which is also a pretty realistic scenario. When someone makes traditional food for their culture and someone else changes it to their liking, they start to feel offended by it, when in reality, the outside force was just trying to be respectful. I know it's gonna sound mad random, but to make chicken alfredo pasta, you need heavy cream, which is something Italians don't like. But adding heavy cream isn't disrespecting the culture, it's just them making something new for others to enjoy instead of the traditional way of things, which is something that we all should try to understand. They further show to accept each other's intentions with the scene of Ember meeting Wade's parents. Yeah, at times it feels offensive because they're different, by them making jokes or greeting Ember in a way that's not appropriate, like hugging. But that's not what it is at all. Ember actually knows that and doesn't get mad at these occurrences. And that's what I believe most people would do, because at the end of the day, these people just don't understand her background. These are a group of people that solely know water and grass backgrounds, but they still accept all. So all they want to do is be respectful and mature when talking to Ember. This was especially seen when the dad says this.
Just have to say that you speak so well and clear.
Yep, it's amazing what talking in the same language your entire life can do.
Hey, Ember,
You see, what makes this so special is that even though everyone around the table thought he was weird or insane for saying that, they're not mad at him. It's because they know all he wanted to do was be mindful towards Ember. He never once showed any bad intent towards her. This gets depicted further when he shows remorse and guilt for even implying otherwise. This is why this movie feels so close to home, because they put these characters in such realistic scenarios that people should oblige by. In a world where it's so easy to dislike others and take things at face value, the Wade family shows otherwise. All they want is the best for everyone, no matter what, and isn't that what makes us human? I'm telling you, this film should have had a bigger impact than any Pixar film in recent times. On top of this, I like the lighthearted feel this entire scene has. Like later on, they start telling an embarrassing story about Wade and they all laugh. It just feels so natural and comforting to see this family get along with Wade and Ember. They also discover Ember's talent within this moment and they all love it, which even leads into Wade's mom offering her schooling, which is just so nice because she didn't have to do that.
I think that's because deep down, I knew it didn't matter. Because the only way to repay a sacrifice so big is by sacrificing your life too.
Wow. Do I even gotta explain this one, bro? This hits like Hulk smashing me into a wall. Truly, the quotes in this film are utterly insane. It almost feels like the writers went to Comartage and the Ancient One taught them how to make this movie. The film keeps reiterating to follow your dreams even if it sounds impossible. Looking at Ember, it seemed impossible that she would never see the flower she always wanted to see because it was stuck underwater. But Wade did help her see them. There's always another way. I could go on for hours and hours on little details like I mentioned, but I'm gonna end it here for the theme portion of the video. If I'm being honest, this was the hardest thing for me to write because I just didn't know how to word it properly. There's scenes in this movie that will intertwine so many lessons in just one scene. This was something I couldn't really put into words, so please, I know I said it already and I'm gonna probably say at the end of the video, watch this movie. It'll make you see what I'm trying to say better, and I really hope that I gave the best insight that I could have. The last thing I want to mention is how great of a story Ember and Wade have together. I love that they're the complete opposite of each other. Wade is more emotional, quirky, optimistic, courageous, social, and loving, while Ember is mainly confident, angry, introverted, not very loving, and less emotional. Although they seem like two individuals that would keep clashing as if they were Batman and Superman, they don't. In fact, just like Batman and Superman, they get along pretty well. And what makes this so great to watch is Ember's development throughout the whole story. The best scene that shows this is the Skyball one, where Ember needed to talk to Wade's boss about deleting those citations. While she's arguing with Wade's boss, Wade notices that one of the players, named Lutz, is doing bad and everyone is bullying him. Instead of joining along and bullying him too, he actually feels bad for him, since he's been playing badly due to his mom being sick. So instead, he starts cheering him on. This is what makes Wade different, because he just wants to support anyone no matter what they are going through or who they are. This is also where I feel like Ember first started liking Wade, because he loves everybody no matter what, which is such a good message. She learns that everyone struggles like she does, and seeing Wade want to help someone like that really sticks with her. This is further shown when Wade pulls up to Ember's inauguration for her dad's shop after she yelled at him. He does this because he knows Ember is solely doing this for her father and not for herself, and he wants her to grow. And that means more to him than anything else. To me, that's how it should be, and that's what makes Wade such a great character. He shows you what you should strive to be as a person. Even though it's easy to reciprocate the anger, the other person is just reaching out their arms, hoping for you to grab them. That's all they want. That's all Ember needed. But what truly makes this so realistic is the fact that she still refuses to follow her path and tells Wade she doesn't love him. Also, I have to mention the fact that while this happens, her glass barrier that is protecting her hometown from a flood is starting to break, which is also such a great metaphor for her development up to this moment. Because due to her being harsh on Wade, it also shows that her development up to this moment is beginning to shatter. I love the fact that Ember wasn't so quick to notice that Wade was in the right, because I feel like that is what a person like Ember would do. They would keep pushing that person away so they could sacrifice themselves for someone else's happiness. So when the climax of this movie happens and Wade still pulls through to help Ember, it hits like Gojo's Purple Hollow, because he cares for her so much that he doesn't care about the fake words she's spitting. He goes as far to even sacrifice himself to save the blue flame for Ember's father. This was such an impactful moment too, because Wade's sacrifice showed Ember that she finally found the one person for her to help her grow and everything, and just to lose that person potentially completely breaks her. Which is why after his sacrifice, she starts crying to her dad, admitting that she made too many mistakes up to this moment, acknowledging that she messed up and could have been better, just like how any other person would. The dad also realizes he messed up because he realizes Ember was always his dream, not the shop, and wants her to pursue her passion, truthfully tying the story in a nice bow, thus showing that Wade really impacted Ember in the best way possible. So when Wade eventually comes back, because they figured out that he just evaporated, it hits so much to see these two together again. And in fact, the father helping to bring back Wade is such a great way to end his story. Truthfully, the only minor gripes I had with this film is that I wish they explored relationships between fire and grass people, because they show that when water and fire mix, the water just kind of boils up. So I really wonder what happens to the grass people. This is mainly a nitpick on my end, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this is a Pixar movie. I don't think they were thinking about the logic in this, but yeah. Other than that, this line really pisses me off.
We changed each other's chemistry.
I'm sorry, but this one line knocks this movie rating down for me a bit. I cringe every time I hear it. I get the joke, but man, it's just too on the nose. It felt like when Jack Black was Steve in the Minecraft movie.
First we mine, then we craft. Let's Minecraft!
So yeah, this is why I really love Pixar's Elemental. I hope I gave my reasons in a clear and concise manner, because I tried very hard to convey them for y'all. There's so many things that I didn't mention that I love, like the fact that I love the animation, the fact that it's comedic but not too funny, it's adventurous when it needs to be, and that it feels like they really took their time with this one. Really seeing Ember and her dad having a moment before starting her new life shows two generations accepting each other and evolving within the family is just nice to see. So it's only right I give Elemental a 9 out of 10. This is how you make a Pixar movie. It fits a lot of the stuff that I want in a film like this. It really amazes me that this film isn't talked about enough because I feel like it's deserved way more attention than it got. It's definitely in my top 5 Pixar movies of all time, and it's gonna be hard for them to top it. So I highly recommend you watch this masterpiece, and if there's anything to take away from this video, always chase your dreams and accept people for who they are.